I'm 8 years sober today. Cheddar, I made it to 8 years of sobriety. Okay. He's not excited about it, but I'm excited about it. Well, kind of. What does it mean to be 8 years sober? Well, let's go back in time. What was going on? 8 years today. I had just escaped my apartment during a home invasion. Or maybe it was just a party. I don't know. I don't know, man. I was so screwed up on drugs, and I was running an amateur non-professional homeless shelter because I was really compassionate. I would let all these random people stay with me. They would steal my food stamp card and my computer. They would just steal from me. It took me a while to put two and two together, and like, every time you guys come over, I get robbed. So yeah, you hang out with drug addicts and thieves. Shit, your life is chaotic. Your life is very chaotic. So what is being 8 years sober mean? Not much. Not much, because most of the people in my family, they don't like the sober version of me. Most people in Merrick's family don't like the sober version of him either. And this is probably what I want to get across today. When you get sober, your friends and family are probably not going to like the sober version of you. What is the sober version of a person? Well, I speak the truth. I have to speak the truth. Our program requires us to be rigorously honest. And that can be very off-putting to people who need to have lies or little white lies, or if they're ashamed of things in their past or in their present. Look, part of my program that I worked, I had to list out everything that I was ashamed of. I had to list it all out. I didn't want to. It was the scariest thing I ever did. It was terrifying. I remember the day that I met with the person who was mentoring me. Might want to call him a sponsor. And I had listed out all this stuff. And he asked me to read it off to him. And I read it off to him. And I was trembling. I was shaking. I was like, oh God. I revealed things about myself to another person that I had never revealed before. I know you guys think I let it all hang out, but I used to not be that way. I used to edit. I used to like tell people. I said, I'm an open book. But I failed to tell people that I was a drug addict or a sex addict, or I had been up for 4 days doing meth. I mean, there towards the end, people could tell, but I used to think that I was pulling it off. I used to think that I was pulling it off. Like, nobody knows I'm a drug addict. Nobody knows I'm on drugs. But there towards the end, you could tell. And it wasn't just the fact that I was in a mental institution either. Like, my body was rejecting alcohol. It was bad. It was bad. Drugs almost killed me. And I think that my family wishes they had. I'm not even joking. I was like, were y'all trying to kill me? I mean, I've forgiven them all. I've forgiven them all. You know, they're sick too. I was sick. We were all sick together. But in that act of deciding to get sober, I decided to get well. See, when you hang out with sick people all the time, they're so sick. We're all so sick that we don't realize that there are people out there who are well. There are people out there that don't lie. There are people out there that don't cheat. There are people out there that don't steal. There's people out there that don't gaslight as a form of communication. I mean, my father-in-law has done things to me and then denied that he did them. He said things to me that he denied that he did, just like I used to do when I was drunk. So you have to learn to forgive people. Like, most people lie to me on a daily basis, and I genuinely feel that they don't know that they're lying. They are just unaware, because I was one of those people that I would tell you things that I thought were true that weren't true. I had no idea that I was lying. If that sounds mysterious to you, I mean, just think about all the things that you're trying to cover up if you're ashamed of anything in your life. You might be trying to pretend you're not in a bad financial situation, or that things are good, or people lie all the time. I know when people are lying to me. I just let them lie. I'm like, it's okay. Because when people lie to you, they're afraid that you'll judge them, or they're afraid that you'll have something on them or whatever. People love their secrets. I'm not interested in secrets, not anymore. But I will tell you, when I revealed that stuff that I was ashamed of to my sponsor, it was very like reality was different. Like all this energy that I spent trying to cover up this shit, which I wasn't really doing that great of a job covering up. You know, I've talked about this before, but one of the things I realized is that I used men. And I would get with a guy if he had a large dick or money or a nice car or a good job. I was with guys for what they could do for me. I would treat people in this transactional way. Like, what can you do for me? And I didn't know that about myself. I didn't know that. And when these guys that I used had abused me, I was very upset. I called them abusers. I did horrible things to these men. Probably got them in some trouble too. But what I want to say is that I didn't know that I was using them. And I thought they were abusing me. But in reality, they were just trying to protect themselves from my crazy alcoholic ass. And that's for damn sure. And that's why when people tell me that other people are abusive or whatever, I'm like, oh man, can you take no for an answer? I sure couldn't. So once I realized that I was a user and an abuser, I went to my apartment and I told the guy I was dating at that time, please break up with me. We got to get far away. You don't want to be with me. I'm a user. I love you and I don't want to use you. I love you and I don't want to use you. So we got to break up. We got to get far away from each other. I didn't know that I was such a horrible person. Like reality was weird, yo. Like reality was all strange and weird. And now I know that was my ego breaking. Well, one of the new ego that rose up and replaced the old. Hey, you never really get rid of an ego. Your ego dies, a new one grows back to take its place in a never-ending cycle. So if you think you're free from ego today, well, honey, hold the fuck on. Hold the fuck on. We wrote a book about it called Machinations of Ego, available on Amazon right now. For a limited time, we may take that book out of print. That book reveals way too damn much. Kind of made us a target too, exposing all the machinations of ego. But he didn't break up with me. He had already gotten sober. And so he just sat me down and said, well, welcome. I think you're going to make it. Because see, most people drop out before they do that. Most people drop out of getting sober before they have to look in the mirror. And I've told people, if you can make it to that personal moral inventory and get through it, you're probably going to be able to stay sober. You're probably going to be able to stay sober if you could do that. But man, that thing is fucking scary. That thing is fucking scary. It's like going on an episode of This Is Your Life. You think the stakes are so fucking high. You think that this person is gonna just laugh in your face and call you like, I can't believe you did that. My sponsor said, is that it? Is that it? So that's the stuff I was drinking over. That's the stuff I was using drugs over. The stuff that I told him on that day in summer of 2018, that's the stuff I was killing myself over. That the things that I told you just now, it was hard, but it wasn't impossible. I was drinking over that stuff. This is the stuff that I was afraid to face. most people kill themselves rather than look in the mirror. That brief moment in time. And then there is the wreckage of our past. You know, I started drinking when I was drinking. I started drinking when I was 15, and then I graduated to drugs. I did it all. I did all the drugs. I never injected heroin though, because there was something in me that was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I did all the drugs. The stuff they got today, I'm glad I got sober when I did, because that feel free would have fucked me up. I know I would have loved that feel free, because I don't like to feel, but I want to feel free. I would have gotten all fucked up on that stuff. I smoked myself out of weed when I was a teenager, when I was 19. I got so high at Lollapalooza, where the Red Hot Chili Peppers were playing, that I just forgot to pee. And my bladder, it was bad, and I couldn't make it. Oh God, it was so bad. I got so high at Lollapalooza that the urge to urinate just completely left me, and I found myself doubling over in pain. So yeah, I've had a long, varied history with drugs from the time I was 15 until 2018, when I finally did decide to get sober. And it was a decision. It was a decision. I decided it. And I couldn't have made it before. I didn't make it when I had a DUI. I didn't make it when I got evicted from one of the 3 times I got evicted from an apartment. It was due to me drinking and doing drugs and not paying the rent. That's why, so I didn't decide to stop drinking at any of those other times. I didn't decide to stop drinking when I was homeless. I didn't decide to stop drinking when I was staying with my parents. I didn't decide to stop drinking at any of those other times. It was on a day 8 years ago when I fled my apartment from a home invasion or a party. I don't know, but it seemed like a home invasion. I mean, they had taken over my apartment. They were telling me all the different ways they were going to kill me. And they wouldn't let me leave. But, you know, I was on uppers. So I was able to outlast them all. And they all just kind of went to sleep. And I escaped, grabbed my laptop, and I ran out. And I tried to tell people about it. But see, my reputation was so bad at that time that when I told people, hey, there's people in my apartment, and they held me captive, the cops in the neighborhood, the mental health, they were like, Patrick, are these people real? Are they really in your apartment? And I'm like, oh God, like I can't even tell people about this. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. People still think I'm crazy, but that's okay, because I am. But so finally, one of my counselors told me that I had to call the police and deal with it. And I remember, like, I called the police. They said, meet us at your apartment. I'm like, but they're there. But I was terrified. I was terrified because, you know, the people who invaded the apartment told me that the cops didn't care, that it was useless to call the cops. The cops are in on it. The cops don't care. The ringleader, I don't know if you've seen Twin Peaks: The Return, but Evil Dale Cooper, the guy was a lot like Evil Dale Cooper. If you've seen Twin Peaks: The Return, the evil version of Dale Cooper. But anyway, he did all these like weird sorcery type magic tricks. They might have been sorcerers. I still don't fucking know. So anyway, the cops did come. So this sorcerer guy, as I'm walking up to my apartment to meet the cops, the sorcerer guy comes out and he looks at me and he says, what did you do? And I said, well, I called the cops. And he looked at me and he said, just make sure my girlfriend is okay. And I'm like, all right, I will. And it was just kind of like this, I don't know, weird spiritual experience. You know, if it was a home invasion and they were really trying to kill me, they did kill me. They killed my old self. They did. But but other people have said, you know, I've heard of this group. They do interventions this way. They stage things like that. And the idea is to help you get sober. So it could have been that secret group as well. Now that I'm sober, there's a lot of secret stuff that goes on to help people get sober that I've become aware of. But I remember the cops coming up to the door, and we went into the apartment together, and these people who looked so powerful the night before looked like used tissues. They were all like asleep on the couch and the floor. They just looked small and used up. One of the guys had insisted to me the night before that he was Satan, and that he was Satan, and he was here to facilitate the takeover of my apartment. They were going to drive me crazy, kick me out, and then squat in my apartment. And he said, and I'm Satan, and I'm overseeing this. All right. They were also trying to summon Lilith and some shit like that too. But I was like, good luck with that, honey. Good luck with that. So did it really happen? I don't know. But I did see the guy that called himself Satan get taken away in handcuffs for violating some type of thing. Saw another little dude get arrested. So they all got kicked out. When they got kicked out, I got on my hands and knees and I prayed. And I said, God, I want out of this life. I want out of this crazy life. I want out. I want out. I want out. And I did something I never did before. I reached out to somebody and I said, I need help. I texted them and I said, I think I need a sponsor. After 30 years of going to meetings and not getting a sponsor, I said, yep, I need help. I need help. I need help. And you know what? People rushed in to help. People help. I rush in to help people. If somebody texts me and say, I need help, I'm going to help them. They don't usually, because I have a reputation in this town of being really blunt and disciplined, and we'll get you sober, bitch. We'll get you fucking sober, but you got to get the fuck over yourself. Look, I got sober in Chicago. No fucks given in Chicago. No fucks given with me because it's a life or death situation here. It's a life or death situation. The overwhelming vast majority of people die from drug addiction. But don't let the numbers scare you away from that. But most people die from addiction. The overwhelming majority of people die from addiction. It's kind of a hopeless condition. It's kind of incurable condition. And so here I am, 53 years old, 8 years sober. All my entire life is that of service, from the music I make to even the videos I make, which many people might look at that stuff and I say, oh, this is just gay porn. No, it's well, it is, but no, it's a celebration of life, body. I've learned a lot in my life. I've learned a lot in the past 8 years. I learned a lot last week. And I never stop learning, but my whole life is about service. How can I be helpful? How can I help people? Not in one of those ways where helping people makes me feel like I'm doing something. No, genuinely, how can I be of service? Because I want to give back what was so freely given to me. I want to give that back to the people who helped get me sober. I asked them, I said, why are you doing this for me? Why are you helping me? Because I didn't understand why somebody would want to help a piece of shit like me. And he said, well, just help other people. Pay it forward. Pay it forward. So today I have the guy that I wanted to break up with, the guy that I said, please break up with me. He's now my husband. We have a cat named Cheddar who you already met, and we make music and art, and we run a business. It's kind of, I had to stop everything I was doing because I had a real big realization. I had what's called an Abraxas revelation, where you see even further. And when they say more will be revealed, they are not lying. More will be revealed, more will be revealed, more will be revealed. So with that said, I'm going to play a song from our album, So You Want to Be Enlightened. And I wrote this song about my sober friends, and this is dedicated to my sober friends and all sober friends out there, thank you so much. What a beautiful, beautiful life.
I used to have a lot of friends, an entourage of losers. I cannot depend on the company of people who cannot face themselves. I thought it was heaven, but it was closer to hell. But now I have sober friends. We were running from something, always chasing a high, trading secrets for substances, losing track of the time. We were kings without kingdoms, with empty pockets and pride. Had a lifetime of stories that we'd never survive. But the bottle, the needle, the pills in the drawer only gave us more reasons to need something more. Now my sober friends ain't the thieves that they were. They're the ones who show up when the silence hurts. Yeah, they look in my eyes and they don't pretend. I can bet on the hearts of my sober friends. Used to lie through her teeth just to make it till night, burning bridges and paychecks, trying to make it feel right. We were desperate magicians, always pulling a trick, trying hard to look happy when we were broken and sick. But there's something about telling the truth in a room where the worst of your secrets have already bloomed. Now my sober friends ain't the thieves that they were. They're the ones who show up when the silence hurts. Yeah, they look in my eyes and they don't pretend. I can lean on the strength of my sober friends. Ain't the thieves that they were. They're the ones who show up when the silence hurts. Yeah, they look in my eyes and they don't pretend. I can lean on the strength of my sober friends. My old friends stole from me, now I give back. In my world of abundance, there's nothing I lack. I give myself freely, the universe knows that I earned this love through punches and blows. Yeah, my sober friends are still holding on, and I know who I'll call when the nights get long. Broken hearts on the mend with my sober friends. We laugh about the chaos, we cry about the cost, we grieve the ones we couldn't save. We toast with coffee cups to the lives we almost lost, but we're still here, we're still brave. 'Cause my sober friends ain't the ghosts that we were. We're building new lives from the ashes and dirt. Yeah, they stand by my side to the bitter end. I'm alive with my sober friends. Yeah, my sober friends ain't the thieves that they were. They're the ones who show up when the silence hurts. Yeah, they look in my eyes and they don't pretend. I can bet it on the hearts of my sober friends. Ain't the thieves that they were. They're the ones who show up when the silence hurts. Yeah, they look in my eyes and they don't pretend. I can lean on the strengths of my sober friends. We're still holding on, and I know who I'll call when the nights get long. Broken hearts on the mend with my sober friends. No holding on, and I know who I'll call when the nights get long. Broken hearts on the mend with my sober friends.